By the end of this lecture, learners will be able to compare and contrast the fundamental principles of behaviorism and humanism in educational contexts, highlight the application of behaviorism and humanism principles in classroom practices, describe the different roles teachers play in behaviorist versus humanist learning environments, examine the impact of behaviorism and humanism on student engagement and motivation. Hello everyone and welcome. This lecture explores the core principles of behaviorism and humanism as learning theories, highlighting their distinct yet interconnected perspectives. We emphasize the importance of integrating both approaches to create dynamic learning environments to foster meaningful and engaging learning experiences. So, let's begin with this question. In what ways do behaviorism and humanism address the needs of diverse learners within the classroom? Behaviorism and humanism stand as two influential contrasting learning theories in terms of principles, applications, and implications for teaching and learning. These theories represent fundamentally different approaches to education. Behaviorism suggests a structured, teacher-centered environment with clear rewards and consequences, while humanism promotes a flexible, student-centered approach that nurtures individual potential. The ongoing debate between these paradigms raises crucial questions about the nature of learning, the role of teachers, and the goals of education itself. Understanding these theories becomes essential for developing effective teaching strategies and fostering meaningful learning experiences. Teachers may gain valuable insights into how different perspectives on learning can shape educational practices and outcomes in today's diverse and dynamic classrooms. Differences between behaviorism and humanism in learning. Behaviorism and humanism represent two distinct educational philosophies that approach learning from fundamentally different perspectives. Understanding these differences can help teachers choose the most effective strategies for their teaching environments. A. Behaviorism key principles. Behaviorist strategies often involve structured environments where specific behaviors are reinforced. Techniques such as positive reinforcement, behavior modification, and clear objectives are commonly used to promote learning outcomes. 1. Learning is a response to external stimuli. 2. Behavior is shaped and maintained by rewards and punishments. 3. The teacher's role is to provide stimuli and reinforce desired behaviors through feedback and reinforcement. 4. Students are seen as passive recipients of knowledge, responding to external rewards for correct behavior or responses. B. Humanism key principles. Humanistic education encourages a student-centered approach, where learners engage in self-directed activities, reflect on their learning, and assess their progress. This approach often leads to the development of critical thinking and problem-solving skills, as well as fostering a love for learning. 1. Learners are inherently good and capable of self-directed growth. 2. Education should cater to the emotional, social, and intellectual needs of students. 3. The teacher's role is to facilitate learning by creating supportive environments that encourage exploration and self-evaluation. 4. Students are active participants in their learning process, making choices about what and how they learn. While behaviorism focuses on external factors influencing behavior and learning through conditioning, humanism emphasizes the importance of addressing the whole person and fostering intrinsic motivation. Both approaches have their strengths and can be applied effectively in different educational contexts, but they fundamentally differ in their underlying philosophies and methods of engaging learners. Combining behaviorism and humanism techniques in daily lesson plans. Teachers can effectively combine behaviorist and humanist techniques in their daily lesson plans to create a more engaging and supportive learning environment. Here are some practical examples of how to integrate both approaches. 1. Setting clear expectations and goals. Behaviorist technique. Start the lesson by outlining specific learning objectives and behavioral expectations. For example, use a visual chart to display the day's goals and the behaviors expected during activities. Humanist technique. Allow students to contribute to the goal-setting process. Encourage them to express their personal learning objectives or interests related to the topic, fostering a sense of ownership. 2. Using positive reinforcement with emotional support. Behaviorist technique. Implement a reward system where students earn points or tokens for meeting behavioral expectations or completing tasks. For instance, students could receive praise or small rewards for participating in discussions or completing assignments on time. Humanist technique. Pair rewards with verbal affirmations that acknowledge students' feelings and efforts. For example, after a student receives a reward, the teacher might say, "I appreciate your hard work and the effort you put into your project. How did you feel about it?" 3. Structured learning activities with choice. Behaviorist technique. Design structured activities that include clear instructions and a step-by-step process for students to follow, such as a guided reading session where students answer specific questions. Humanist technique. Incorporate choice within the structured activity. For example, students can choose from a selection of texts or topics for their reading assignments, empowering them to engage with material that resonates with their interests. 4. Assessment and feedback. Behaviorist technique. Use formative assessments, such as quizzes or skill checks, to gauge student understanding and provide immediate feedback on their performance. Humanist technique. Complement assessments with opportunities for self-reflection. After a quiz, have students write a brief reflection on what they learned, what they found challenging, and how they can improve. This encourages self-directed learning and personal growth. 5. Collaborative learning with individual reflection. Behaviorist technique. Organize group work where students are assigned specific roles and responsibilities to complete a project, promoting teamwork and accountability. Humanist technique. After the group activity, facilitate a debriefing session where students can share their feelings about the collaboration process and reflect on what they learned from each other. Encourage them to discuss how the group dynamics affected their learning experience. 6. Incorporating technology. Behaviorist technique. Use educational software that provides immediate feedback and rewards for correct answers, reinforcing learning through practice. Humanist technique. Allow students to choose how they engage with the technology, such as selecting different learning paths or projects that interest them, fostering autonomy and personal investment in their learning. Classroom environment that supports both behaviorism and humanism principles. To create a classroom environment that supports both behaviorist and humanist principles, teachers can integrate strategies from both approaches. Here's a concise overview of how this can be achieved. Establishing clear expectations, rules, and consequences to manage student behavior, behaviorist. Fostering a supportive and empathetic learning environment that attends to students' emotional needs alongside their cognitive development, humanist. Providing structured guidance and support for students while gradually increasing autonomy as appropriate, balancing approaches. Incorporating choice within structured activities to empower students to engage with material that resonates with their interests, combining approaches. Pairing extrinsic rewards with opportunities for student choice and self-direction to help foster intrinsic motivation, enhancing behaviorism with humanism. Encouraging self-reflection and self-evaluation to help students take responsibility for their learning and growth, humanist. Creating a safe learning environment where students feel accepted and supported in taking risks and working towards their goals, humanist. Offering differentiated instruction with choice in how students engage with content and demonstrate learning to promote personal relevance and self-direction, combining approaches. By thoughtfully integrating behaviorist and humanist techniques, teachers can create a balanced approach that addresses the diverse needs of students. This combination promotes skill acquisition, behavioral management, emotional well-being, and personal growth, leading to a more holistic educational experience. The impact of behaviorist and humanist approaches on student engagement and learning outcomes. Engaging students in the learning process is a fundamental goal of education. Two prominent learning theories, behaviorism and humanism, offer contrasting perspectives on how to foster student engagement. Teachers can assess the impact of both behaviorist and humanist approaches on student engagement and learning outcomes by 1. Collecting data on student behaviors before and after implementing behaviorist techniques like reinforcement and punishment. Observe if desired behaviors increase and undesired behaviors decrease. 2. Administering surveys or interviews to gauge students' feelings about their learning experiences and sense of autonomy under humanist approaches. Assess if students feel more engaged and motivated. 3. Comparing learning outcomes of students taught using primarily behaviorist methods versus primarily humanist methods. Look for differences in skill acquisition, knowledge retention, and higher-order thinking. 4. Observing student engagement levels during lessons that incorporate choice, self-direction, and personal relevance, humanist, versus lessons that are more structured and teacher-directed, behaviorist. 5. Analyzing student work samples to assess the depth of understanding and creativity demonstrated. Humanist approaches may foster more original and insightful work. 6. Tracking student attendance, participation, and completion rates as indicators of engagement. Humanist approaches that meet students' emotional needs may improve these metrics. 7. Conducting action research in the classroom to systematically test the effects of integrating behaviorist and humanist techniques. Collect both quantitative and qualitative data. The key is to use multiple measures and collect data over time to assess the impact of these approaches. Surveys, observations, student work, and achievement data can all provide valuable insights. By thoughtfully combining behaviorist and humanist techniques, teachers can create a learning environment that supports both skill development and personal growth. Conclusion. The contrast between behaviorism and humanism in education reveals two distinct approaches to learning. Behaviorism, with its emphasis on observable behaviors and external reinforcements, provides a structured framework that effectively shapes student actions and ensures mastery of skills. In contrast, humanism focuses on the individual learner, promoting personal growth, emotional well-being, and intrinsic motivation. Both theories offer valuable insights, and their effectiveness can vary based on context and learner needs. Teachers are encouraged to integrate strategies from both behaviorism and humanism to create a balanced, inclusive educational experience. By blending these approaches, teachers can foster an engaging learning environment that meets academic goals while supporting the emotional and social development of their students, leading to a more holistic educational experience.